Acha, I think it is time now that we discuss about the BPS concept. Now, bubbles per second, what we know is it has to be 2 or 1 or 3, 4, 5, depending on how higher you want to set your aquarium level of energy, right? So, if you want a high level tank, a high light tank, then probably you'll need 5 BPS or 4 BPS, depending on the size of your tank, though. But I use a reactor, and it is very efficient of distributing the CO2. Now, initially, I was worried about the BPS, right? And bubbles per second, what I'm realizing is not constant, right? Because in this counter that I had earlier, 4 to 5 BPS was okay for me. But when the bubble counter changes, the the size of the bubble also changes, and you cannot actually decide that how much BPS is actually you had. So it needs some standardization. So what I do is, and I could be wrong, I could be right, I'm not sure, but it works, and it has to work that way. So I just plugged in my now the I plugged in the solenoid, and the pressure is pretty high. I'm not sure it's having some issues. The pressure goes high, and there can be a number of reasons. Anyway, the thing is, what bubble you're seeing here, it has a count, right? The moment it touches something, see, the count increases drastically, right? And different bubble counter entry point, I think, has different kind of slits, right? Because of the thickness, etc. If you see that counter, I'll show you that it has a different thickness, and the other bubble counter has different thickness. And inside the bubbles counter, the size of the bubble counter may be bigger, one can be shorter. So who standardizes? Because the pressure changes, right, when the size changes, and that acts on the bubble counts. So the better thing that I found, let it do like that, and let me set this to a certain level, right? Let me set it to 2 or something, and I do that. And this is a faulty one. The normal ones, this pressure shouldn't go up and down. If you set it, it should be there. So you need not worry, you just control with this key. But for my case, it's going weird, and others are acting weird as well. This is another problem. You buy as many as regulators, but when you are fucked, you are fucked anyway. So it's a 2, and when I start my CO2 reactor, what happens is I don't switch on the light. I just keep observing when the pH drops. This is actually not a CO2 indicator. It's more like when the CO2 goes in, it's acidic, right? So your tank's pH comes down, and this is just telling you that yes, the pH is going down because it was blue, now it become green, and this is the lighter green version. So at this moment, it's been there for like 2-3 hours. So I switched on my light when I saw that it's completely light green. Yellow isn't good. Yellow means it's going too less. The pH is dropping too much. Probably the CO2 is very high, that's right. So what I'm saying is, this is more like pH. If you drop acid, then it will turn yellow now. So this is not CO2 indicator, but this is a way of understanding how much CO2 is in there. So the ideal condition is when it's yellow, when it's green, lime green, light green, or even green. Then you switch on your light and keep it on for like 4-5 hours, and then cut it off, the CO2. Let the light go on for around 6 hours or 7 hours. That's it. And this way, if you set your CO2 system, all the BPS related concerns that we see, because most often we see that the BPS is not correctly configured for your tank, and we see a lot of growth related issues. So this can help, this workflow. I'm sure a lot of people know this, but I just wanted to call it out because people are more prone to see videos, and when you share things, I think if they are interested, they'll definitely see this video. So that's why I'm just making it. So this is my tank that I shifted to, and because this tank broke down, right, and I tried to repair and it's gone, so I had to shift all my epiphytes. So I was being very cautious about the CO2 imbalance that could happen now, because I was starting the CO2, and I also ran into the issue that I lost this regulator. It's not working anymore. So I tried this is making some weird noise, so I went with this. These were all my backups. So now that I don't have a bubble counter, so I am taking up this step. Even if I had a bubble counter, it doesn't make sense because I had to get a similar bubble counter like this, or whatever it is. You have to have the CO2 indicator to tell you that your CO2 is working right or wrong. So it doesn't really matter if bubble counter is there or not. You can just test it out and set it up, and you keep watching the CO2. It's plugged in doesn't mean that is every time it's going right. You see the pressure every time, because any day it can be, you get screwed and your tank is, the parameter changes, fishes tend to die. I lost 2 fishes already. So that happens to us also. So that's why we need to be cautious, and this indicator helps. And yeah, one thing is, this indicator has a different version also, like this one. They are really different in a way that they get set, and I'm not doing a promo. It's just that it's an Indian product and I've been discussing it, so I'll just talk about it. And that's liquid, that's the indicator that you have. Sorry for all the mess. So you just place it like this, and make sure that the water level is lower than that thing, this kit or this glass thing. So that is how you pour the liquid inside. I think you will figure it out. What you have to do. But it's cool one as well, and it's not that costly as the Easter ones. This is just informational.